Welcome again. This is part 2 of this topic on the commandment of love. So, get moving right along. Are you that Levite and that priest that stepped over that man that was overtaken by thieves? Or are you the Good Samaritan? Are you the African Samaritan? Are you that African priest and that African Levite? Are you that so-called American Samaritan, Good Samaritan? Are you that American Levite or priest that stepped over the man that was overtaken by robbers? I pity you. I pity you. When you see your brother, do you respond like Joseph, the brothers that sold you out? When you see your brother, do you respond like Moses? Or do you respond like that rich man that just overlooked him, that just stepped around him, Lazarus, when he was begging, and the dogs come up and lick his wounds, and he had nothing to give him? He lived his life precious, high on the hog, or this man sat begging most of his life. There's messages for you people in the church. There's messages for you, preacher, in the pulpit. There's messages to you believers who say that you're part of the kingdom, but your actions prove elsewise. Can you be saved and hate your brother? No. Can you be saved and hate your collective self? No. Because if you show it in your actions, and surely your deeds and your actions and your works will be weighed and tried in the fire, and you will come out wanting. You will be tried in the scales and the balances, and you will come out wanting. When you see the motherland, do you move on it with passion, or do you ostracize it? Do you complain, or do you make a contribution? Do you alleviate the pain, or do you intensify it? Oh, Black Africans, I'm talking to you. I know what the enemy does, and he does good at his job. I know what Satan does, and he does good at his job. But you're a child of the devil, or you either a child of God. You say you're an American, and you disclaim your heritage and your Africanness because you don't want to be identified with those who have been ostracized and cut down. You call yourself a believer and a child of God. Yeah, those preachers are not telling you this. I am. If there be any truth in what I say, let it come and let it prick your heart and let it cause you to turn from your wickedness and turn from your vile ways and turn toward God, turn toward love, the real love. You hate Africa, as Malcolm said, I'll show you a man that hates himself. You can't love the tree and hate the root. You either love the tree and love the root, or you hate the root and you hate the tree. But you can't hate the tree and say, or you can't hate the root and say you love the tree. You can't hate the root, motherland Africa, and say you love your people. Jesus moved on them as with compassion, seeing that they were like sheep scattered, having no shepherd, no leadership, no guidance. In the military, they have what is called a guide on bearer. This person that bears a flag that the troops, when they're marching, they can guide on to. And they can have a sense of direction. They guide on to that guide on bearer. Even though they are in file and rank and they're marching, they still guide on to something that keeps them balanced. Love is that guide on for that believer and that non-believer. Love is what guides you to do the right thing. And even if it's not in your heart, just the obedience alone to do what's right is trying to work it from the outside in. And eventually you learn to be non-selfish. You learn peace and you learn to love. You do it mechanically because you now have the ability to do it naturally. People have not been kept safe. They've not been given substance. They've not been given food. They've not been given safety, clothing, and shelter. How dare you walk into another man's land coming from the diaspora and look down in your nose at the people who are suffering, or people who are, even the hustlers have to make it. They may be hustling because of the conditions that they're in, not because they're a thief and a crook and a robber. Maybe they don't have a moral code on how to survive in a right way in a condition that's put on them that's against, which is what we call mitigating circumstances, which is beyond his control. Okay? Some of those people who can't get up and work, those people who are lazy, those people who are haters of good people that come to try to hand them something, they bite the hand that feeds them, they will get a award of damnation also. So we have problems on both sides of the spectrum. So let me move on here. When a person is vulnerable, when a person is in need, they're going to be preyed on by predators. They're going to be preyed on by predatory systems. They're going to be preyed on by predator two-legged walking devils. They're going to be preyed on by pimps. They're going to be preyed on by extortioners. They're going to be preyed on by hustlers. And you're going to say, you're not part of this because you have refined your situation somewhere else. And you go into another land and you can't survive psychologically outside of the plantation and the things that you've been reared on, and in the places like North America and the Americas, you've been conditioning your mind to turn against your own people, and don't have the love in your heart to search and read and study and see why things are like they are. There's brothers losing their lives because they have pulled and uncovered the truth and exposed the lies and the things that have been done to people. They have lost their lives. And you're going to sit up and condemn? You're just as bad as the ones that do the killing of the liberators. A good shepherd sees the sheep, feeds the sheep, protects the sheep, gives the sheep hope. The hireling runs when he sees the wolf coming and the sheep are scattered. Jesus came into his own and his own received him not. So some of his people didn't even receive him. So that was the bad side of when you're talking about the sheep or the people that you're trying to help, they might throw you to the wolves too. So you have that going on. Can I hate Africa and love myself? Brother Soldier says you can. Prove to me that you can. I say you can't. If it is love, it's superficial. It's surface. Can I have self-hatred and be saved? No. How do you, if you do have self-hatred and you come across God and it says the love of God is shed abroad in your heart when you receive Christ, okay, that may happen. That can happen. And you still have a sense of hatred towards Africa. But it says, be ye renewed be you transformed by the renewing of your mind in Romans 5:5. So there comes a time when you do come to know God and you see things differently, and you have to renew yourself with knowledge, truth, so that you can see things in a more favorable light, see things and see people in a better way. That's how you deal with that. It's an ongoing process. It's not complete just because you bring God into your life at that time. It's an ongoing, growing process. Undoing those things that are bad and restoring and replacing them with things that are proper. It's ongoing. Your salvation will show in your actions. How you treat your fellow man. How you think in your heart about your fellow man. You can love and you can hate in action. You can love or you can hate in inaction. You can hate by being passive aggressive. Let's talk about hate in action. Betrayal, betraying your brother, selling him out, disrespecting him, sowing discord, sowing falsehoods, actively finding fault, ill treatment, lying on them, mislabeling them. Inaction. How can you hate in inaction? Just being passive about it, dismissing it, denying it, overlooking it, avoiding it, ignoring it, bypassing it, stepping around it, going over it, going under it. Passive aggressive, miseducating them, misleading them, misguiding them, misrepresenting them, condescending, setting them up to fail. In bondage. In bondage. Many prophets preached the truth in bondage. Many great men and liberators rose to the occasion and rose on the scene when their nation was in bondage by an oppressor nation. It didn't stop God's plan. It didn't stop the coming of Christ. It did not stop the prophet's message. It fulfilled it. And in the midst of evil, truth, love, and righteousness will still prevail. In the midst of evil, good men and good women will still emerge, and they will still rise to the occasion. Give you an example. There was something called Egypt. And there came a Moses because of Egypt. There was something called Dr. King that came because there was a North America. There was a Malcolm because of the atrocities in the land called America. There was a Joseph in Egypt. There was a Garvey that emerged in the Americas with a message because of the oppressors. They came forth. Kwame Nkrumah came to his leadership and presidency out of prison for a while. Mandela came in the midst of South Africa. Steve Biko came. Mahatma Gandhi came in the midst of India during the British Empire. There may be chaos and there may be famine. There may be drought. There may be oppression. There may be slavery. There may be castration. There may be killing and murder. But God's program has always been on the scene, and he's always brought hope through his messengers, through his prophets. And I will conclude in part 3. Let's move on. Peace, love, God bless.